Walk down any modern city street, and you will see a booming empire built entirely on structural alignment. Orthodontics clinics, jaw expanders, clear aligners, and wisdom teeth extraction surgeries have become standard rites of passage for the modern human. We treat crooked teeth as a baseline design flaw of our species, an unfortunate genetic lottery ticket that dooms our mouths to a messy, crowded tangle of bone unless intervened by modern medical technology. But if you step out of the clinic and journey back through the deep archives of human history, you will discover an evolutionary truth that challenges everything you think you know about your face. Before the invention of agriculture, before the first factory whistle blew, and before the introduction of fork and knife, our ancestors possessed flawless, wide, straight teeth with absolutely zero intervention. We are currently choking our own jawlines into extinction by abandoning the gritty, fibrous lifestyles that once forged expansive, beautiful human palates. This is the hidden history of how humanity traded prehistoric toughness for processed softness, systematically shrinking the skeletal architecture of our faces over generations. To grasp how we lost our smiles, we must first examine the skulls of those who lived hundreds of thousands of years before the dawn of modern civilization. When evolutionary biologists look at the fossil record of hunter-gatherers, they encounter a phenomenon that seems impossible by modern standards. Straight teeth are the universal rule. Wisdom teeth, which today are routinely cut out of our gums because they are painfully impacted and trapped, emerged completely straight, functioning as standard, healthy, chewing machinery. Our ancestors did not have access to braces, dentists, or dental hygiene routines, yet malocclusion, the medical term for a bad bite, was virtually non-existent. This wasn't because they possessed superior straight teeth genes that we somehow lost through random mutation. The secret lies entirely in how they used their faces. For 99% of human history, eating was an intense, physically demanding athletic event for the skull. The prehistoric diet consisted of raw, wild game, fibrous tubers, tough roots, unrefined nuts, and coarse seeds. Foods that required hours of vigorous, crushing muscular force every single day. This massive mechanical stress acted as a direct signal to the growing bones of the face. Bone is a living, dynamic tissue that responds to physical pressure by growing denser and wider. Because ancient children spent their youth masticating tough, resilient materials, their masseter muscles pulling aggressively on the bone stimulated the growth of wide, forward-pointing jaws. This expansive skeletal growth created a massive, broad dental arch, a spacious biological footprint where all 32 human teeth could slide perfectly into place like puzzle pieces. But roughly 10,000 years ago, the agricultural revolution completely upended this ancient evolutionary feedback loop. As human communities settled into farming, they learned to boil grains into soft porridges, bake wheat into soft breads, and cook meats until they fell off the bone. Suddenly, the immense mechanical workload required to stimulate the growing human jaw dropped off a cliff. Skulls, found from early agricultural societies, show an immediate, undeniable change. Within generations of adopting soft foods, human jaw sizes began to visibly shrink. Then came the Industrial Revolution of the 19th century, which took this biological degeneration to a terrifying new extreme. Industrial food processing stripped away every remaining shred of toughness from our diet. We introduced hyper-refined flours, ultra-processed sugars, pasteurized dairy, and canned soft meals. For the first time in human history, children grew from infancy to adulthood without ever forcing their jawbones to work through a single genuinely tough, fibrous meal. The genetic blueprint for our teeth remained exactly the same. Our DNA still dictates that we grow 32 full-sized adult teeth. But the lack of physical chewing stress meant the modern jawbone failed to reach its full, intended size potential. The math was broken. We are trying to fit the exact same 32 prehistoric teeth into a narrow, shrunken, modern jaw that has run out of physical space. Denied their proper footprint, the emerging teeth have no choice but to twist, turn, overlap, and crowd each other, erupting as a chaotic maze of crooked enamel. This structural recession of the face does not just ruin the alignment of our smiles, it compromises the very mechanics of how we breathe. When the upper jaw, the maxilla, fails to expand outward, it defaults to a narrow shape, which directly collapses the base of the nasal cavity sitting right above it. As a result, modern humans have narrower nasal airways, making nasal breathing physically difficult and forcing millions into habitual mouth breathing. Mouth breathing creates a destructive cascade of facial posture, lowering the tongue from the roof of the mouth and allowing the jaw to drop backward even further. This leads to adenoid faces, a medical profile characterized by a recessed chin, long facial proportions, sloping foreheads, and flat cheekbones. We spend billions of dollars masking these structural skeletal issues using surface-level cosmetic treatments, treating the symptoms instead of the evolutionary root cause. Traditional orthodontics fixes the aesthetic problem by pulling healthy teeth out to clear up space, or using metal wires to forcefully pull crooked teeth back into a shrunken arch. While this aligns the teeth for a picture-perfect photo, it often leaves the underlying structural airway small and the lower face permanently pushed back. Now, a radical new movement of forward-thinking dentists and anthropologists is advocating for a complete structural paradigm shift. They emphasize the critical importance of tongue posture, proper nasal breathing, and introducing hard, resistant chewing materials back into children's formative years. By understanding that our bones remain fully dynamic and responsive to physical load, we can begin to unlock the expansive growth our genetics always intended. Our teeth are not crooked because nature made a mistake, but because we built an industrial world that our physical bodies were never designed to soft chew through. By reclaiming the mechanical toughness of our past, we can rebuild our facial health, expanding our breath, our profiles, and the natural straight alignment of the human smile.